You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your host without enough caffeine in his body to think of something clever to say here this week. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime.
It's Rocco.
It's Rocco. See, you never have to think of clever things to say. You just say, I'm Rocco. But then again, everybody knows who you are. You're very important.
I'm clever.
You're Who says you're clever?
Everybody.
Okay, let's go with that. I'm not even going to try and touch that one today because, again, not enough caffeine. We do these too early in the morning, man. We should do these at like 3 in the afternoon. After I've had like 8 cups of coffee, then I'll be much more entertaining then. Not that I'm ever really entertaining, but, I can at least try then. All right, so what are we talking about today, Rick? Oh, I know what we're talking about today. We're talking about the concept of long-term technology support, right? And that's an interesting topic. I like this topic because, I think that for most of us, the concept of technology training and support is really tied to our software resellers. All right, when we buy a software package, whether it's, a CAD system or a construction-based project management system, whatever it may be, we get promised the sun by the reseller that we're buying from. They tell you we're going to train you and we're going to support you and we're going to help you with any issues that come up. We're here to be your partner. And the problem is that once the check clears, good luck trying to get them to follow up on all those promises. Resellers are noted for spotty support, and their answer to the training is all too often, look on our website. There's a bunch of videos there that'll help. And if you're lucky, you're going to find like 3 or 4 5-minute long videos on a couple of specific items and maybe a link to their help pages, right? If you're lucky. And look, to be fair, right, and I'm not here today to beat up on resellers. I'm really not. The resellers do provide support for your software purchase, right? As long as it's support for a problem or a bug in the software itself. If you try to, call a reseller for help on how to use a tool or, how to get a design process explained, right? You're kind of going to be out of luck. If you guys ever take the time, and I know one ever does, but if you read the small print of your EULA, your end user license agreement, when you buy any software, you will see that support for just about anything other than the software issues, it comes at a really steep price or not at all. And not just that, but usually all a reseller can offer you, all they have to offer you, are software technicians, right? Guys and girls who know the software really well, but they don't really have a whole lot of practical experience using their software in a production environment. And look, right, if it sounds like I said, I know it sounds like I'm beating up on the resellers, but if you think that the resellers are bad, God help you if you ever have to try to get support directly from a software developer. You might as well sign off the next 2 days of your life because that's what it's going to take. Trust me, you're far better off with the resellers than the developers. And that kind of leaves us all with the problem of, what to do, right? Where do we go? How do we get help when we need it? When the folks who are providing the software for us go AWOL, right? And that's kind of what we want to talk about on today's show. So, Rocco, you and I both have a history as software, resellers. I mean, you've been doing it, a lot longer than I have. Am I exaggerating the idea behind reseller support, or you think that's a pretty fair description I just gave?
Well, there's a little bit, but I mean, the truth is that, resellers are driven by the main developer is often gives the resellers a sales quota, so there's a much larger drive to sell the software, and so they're given quotas, and so they're to my point, they're driven by sales.
Right.
They're not driven by, by services so much. And so because they're driven by sales and there's always that threat that, well, if you don't make quota, you're going to be cut. There's always that push. So we need to sell more. We need to sell more. And you meet your quota, and guess what? You need to meet a higher quota. So it's a big it's a big sales push.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me. Remember the old insurance commercial with the guy with the fishing pole and he dangled a dollar and he yeah, oh, you almost got it. You almost got it. That's exactly how the developers treat the the resellers. Just keep moving it up higher. So look. To be fair, like I said, don't get me wrong, right? I am not trying to knock software resellers today. Zentek still works as a reseller for a bunch of different software systems. We are resellers, and it's a very tough job. And resellers really do the best that they can. Like Rob said, they're limited by the structure of that partner channel system, right? Where they've got to meet quotas, got to make sales, and they really can't make enough money off of their software sales to pay for that high-end ongoing support that their clients would like. So let me explain the basic concept of how you get your software from a reseller like Zentek. All right, so first of all, when you pick up the phone and you call Rocco to buy a seat of software, right, and I'll say you want to buy BricsCAD, for example. So first off, you're going to wake Rocco up from his nap, which number one is a good thing because that's all he does all day. So thank you for waking him up, making him earn his pay for a change. So you wake Rocco up and you tell him what you need. We'll say we're going to get one perpetual seat of BricsCAD Pro because I heard Jim talk about that on a podcast, and that guy is brilliant, and we always listen to him. So Rocco, how much does that single seat of software cost?
Who said you're brilliant?
I did. Does it matter?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Wow. So anyway, so a seat of BricsCAD Pro is 1150, so 1,150.
All right. So I'm going to round it down for easy math because I'm really not that bright of a guy. So we'll say $1,000. Okay. So out of that retail price, right, we get a discount as the reseller, and I mean, meaning we pay less for that software than you do, right? And that's our profit line. And that discount, right? And it varies dramatically across different software systems. It can be anywhere between like as low as 7% to as high as 30% of the total price of the software that you're paying, right? So if you, as our listener out there today, if you buy a $1,000 seat of software like BricsCAD or whatever else, right, then the reseller is getting anywhere from $70 to $300, right? Now, you got to keep in mind, right, that they've already spent money marketing that product to you, so you learned about it. They've been sending you emails so that, get you information you wanted, answering your questions. They called you and talked to you, right? Maybe we did a demo for you to show you how that product is going to work in your company and your needs, right? Then we have to go in and place the order and process the order on the back end and make sure you get delivered that software. And then beyond that, if there are any problems with installation or if there are any bugs in the software, anything that's not working, like Rocco was saying before, right? The resellers are required by by our contracts with the software developer to spend time helping you fix those issues, right? So, I mean, you think of all of that stuff that we have to do, how much profit, if any, right, do you think is left off of that BricsCAD sale? It's not really a big surprise that when you call and ask for an hour or two of your reseller's time to help you figure something out on your project, they're going to have to charge you for that, right? The profit lines for software resellers are crazy slim, and they make profit based on volume of sales, right? Sell more, sell enough to make it profitable. Well, and like I said, and that means that, unless you're ordering a few hundred seats of software, it just doesn't pay for the resellers to spend time helping you. And I think, that's a problem. And I think, but not just that. I think, but because of those narrow profit margins, it leads to another problem, which is that most resellers can't afford to pay salaries that are sufficient to draw in, experienced design build people onto their staff, right? So they kind of have to make do with, software techs just out of college, young guys breaking into the industry, right? Who have, who learned the software and understand the software really well, but they really struggle to understand the basics of the, the architecture construction world. So Rocco, how many clients that you've worked with over the years have kind of been understanding and know those limitations for resellers, or do you find that most folks just get frustrated with resellers because they're not getting the help they need?
No, they don't understand it. And you know, I mean, to be fair to the customer, it's they don't need to understand it. I mean, they buy the software and they have expectations, you know, that the software is going to perform, that they can contact somebody if they need help, you know, and some customers' expectations are much higher than others, but they don't really understand how the reseller channel works, and you know, I don't really know that they care. You know,
That's fair.
it's just I bought the software for a reason, and I'm paying a lot for it, and you know, there's expectations that I have if I need help or I need support or if I need training. I mean, I think over the years people have come to understand, particularly with training. Okay, training is not included with my purchase, but you know, when I first started out many years ago, right? I mean, I definitely ran into people that and it still happens today on a rare occasion, but they think, okay, just because they buy a software, it's going to include training, you know, and that's not really the case. I mean, with some packages, you know, you do get a level of e-learning, but it all depends on how you define training as well, right? So I mean, to address your question, I don't think most folks understand what a reseller is and how the margin factor works in to the whole picture.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm talking about it today. At least get them to understand a little bit, hopefully. But I think it's pretty obvious that there's a gap between the purchase and the implementation of a software system that kind of needs to be filled. And traditionally, that role has kind of been filled by technical trainers and consultants, you know, like we do here at Zentech. You know, people whose staff have the design and construction background that we all want, right? And of course, you know, the problem there is finding people that you can trust, right? Who work with the software that you have and who can spare the time to teach, you know, when and where and how it works for your staff. Look, and here's the thing, right? There are a lot of really talented freelance software training, consulting, support specialists out there on the market. And you can get a lot of those people at really good rates. So they're worth looking into. But I think the biggest problem, or the first problem at least, that you're going to run into with them is determining, right, who is actually talented. And you know, I mean, it's hard if you're just going online and searching for people to figure out, you know, who worked for 2 months as a laborer on a construction site and is billing themselves as a construction industry expert. You know, it's hard to tell. And the second problem that you're running up against with freelancers, I think, is time. If you're trying to arrange personalized training or personal support at a time and a place that works for both, you know, your staff and that freelancer, it can be really frustrating. You know, freelancers tend to take work, you know, where and when they can get it. And, you know, their highest paying or highest volume client is going to get their attention. And that means if there's any kind of a conflict or a scheduling issue, you can get bumped or underserved or even just flat out canceled, you know, at the convenience of you know, what is potentially a competitor of yours because they give them more work or more money. And that, I think, is where the true consulting firms come in, right? You know, the true consulting firms, not the independent freelancer. You know, they have the staff, right? And they do double as resellers like we do. And they have enough irons in the fire between services and support and training and software that they can maintain, you know, the quality staff and consistent schedules so that they can help you and they will be there when they say they're going to be there, right? They're there when you need them. And of course, the issue in dealing with a consultant is cost, right? Consultants are notoriously expensive to work with. And that's really what I want to talk about, I guess, in the next half of the show. Right? We'll get into it in part 2 here, how you can work with a reliable consultant without breaking your bank. Right? So we'll be back to talk about it in a minute, folks. So stand by. We'll be back with more of the Cattle Call Podcast.
Today's Cattle Call Podcast is being brought to you by BricsCAD, the latest and greatest CAD software out there on the market today. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and the beauty of it is that BricsCAD allows you to use all of your current drawing files, all of the CAD commands and macros and features and Lisp routines and customizations and configurations that you've already developed, right? Without any transition, your people can be up and running in BricsCAD in a matter of hours, right? So to help you make that transition here at Zentex, one of the things that we've done is we have actually created a Make the Move to BricsCAD program to help you move from your Autodesk-based platform over into BricsCAD with minimal time and risk and investment. And Rocco is going to tell you all about it. Rocco?
I'm going to tell you all about it. Well, there's a great deal of information that's available right on our website. It's zentechconsultants.net. You can reach out to us at sales@zentechconsultants.net or give us a call, 866-824-4459. But yeah, that's the core idea behind it, Jim. If you're an AutoCAD user and you're looking to make the move to BricsCAD, we're here to help make an easier transition for you. So check us out. Let us know how we can help you.
Perfect answer. BricsCAD, the smartest CAD system on the market today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cattle Call podcast, where we're talking today about the concept of ongoing technical support for your staff and how to get it. And in the first half, we kind of left off on the idea of, working with a technical consultant, right, as kind of being the pinnacle of how to do that. But I think that people hear that word consultant and they immediately start to see little dollar signs, swirling all around their head, right? Like birds in a Bugs Bunny cartoon after you get hit with an anvil, right? And it's a justifiable reaction, I think. I mean, a lot of consultants in this arena are single engagement oriented. In other words, they do a setup or a training engagement once, and then they move on to the next client, right? So they need to make sure that they cover, or they charge enough to cover the gaps in between their consulting engagements, right, to pay their staff. And look, I don't begrudge them that. We have faced the same issue here at Zentech, right? It's not always easy to land those technical consulting projects. To start with, you have to go out, you have to convince people that, you're the expert that you claim to be, right, on both the practical application and on the technical software end. And then you have to show them the results that they can measure to justify the costs of working with you. Because they got to explain it to the upper management and why did you hire this guy who costs so much. Rocco and I have spent a lot of time over the years kind of looking for better ways to engage with people for training and ongoing support that, kind of doesn't require both us and the client to spend, sometimes months of going back and forth and trying to find a solution that both sides are comfortable with and a schedule that works and cutting budgets down and then bumping things up again. And I actually think that we have actually hit on a successful blend of both, training and support. But I really do think what worked best for us, right? We started out here with a really unique and I think effective training method that took off for us in a big way. All right, and in the design build world, I think it's really kind of put Zentech on the map for this industry. It was kind of the basis of how we built the company, was our training system. So Rocco, let's wake you up here again and say, why don't you explain our training system to the people listening, right? What do we do that's different than most consultants, and how does it work differently or the same between public and private clients?
Yeah, when we started out, when we initially started the business, we came up with the concept of running classes online in 2-hour sessions. And I think we were both skeptical as to whether that would even work, but we gave it a shot. And sure enough, we saw a lot of traction with it. Part of it was the fact that we did it online and we did it in 2-hour sessions. And part of it was the fact that we weren't using your traditional structure of running classes. We were more workflow focused, and we did our classes live. We had them open to questions, and so from the 2-hour classes, we expanded to offering 8-hour classes, but still keeping it as 2-hour sessions once a week. And so that just really took off for us, and knock wood, it's still successful for us today. And I think we know that it's hugely successful because of the fact that we minimize the time that people are pulled away from their daily workflow, um, and and uh, and it's not it's easy, it's more easily to digest, right? I mean, as opposed to dumping 8 hours of content into somebody's head, all at once. We break it out into 2 hour sessions once a week, and so folks find that they're able to digest that much more easily, start to apply what they're taught, and bring it back from week to week. And so that's how our classes run, and how people like it, or
Yeah,
why people like it.
yeah, and I, honestly, I think that that training system, it worked really well for us as a business, but I also think it's been game changing. I think for our clients, because for a lot of years, right, most companies were really resistant to the idea of training their staff on the software and everything. And it's not because I don't think anyway. It's not because of the cost of hiring a trainer like Zentek, right? It's our in the scope of things, our fees are not really even an impact on those companies. But I think what was really a problem for them, and you touched on it, Rocco, is they lose so much production time from their staff, right? Taking them out for a whole day, right? A full 8 hour class or a 2 day class. And I think that, the loss of billable time and revenue from having, 10 employees out for a full day or 2 days, it's staggering, right? How much money you lose that way. And it's just not feasible for most companies, right, to do that. And I think the way that we here at Zentek, we broke those classes down, like you're saying, into digestible pieces. It's brought us just an incredible amount of work. And I think, almost every client we work with loves our classes. And we have over a 90% return rate on students. Students take one class, they're coming back for other ones down the road. And I think that just speaks to the way that the process works. I think it's the combination of, understanding that the client's time is their most valuable commodity and respecting that. And along with our strict use of, trainers, who have years of industry experience. Like Rocco was saying, one of the things we focus on our workflow and process rather than, yeah, we use the software tools, but it's not showing you click this button and it'll do that. It's talking about how do you do that? Well, you'll go over and click that button, right? And then we take you through doing whatever the thing is, if that makes sense. And I think that's important because people in the design build world need instructors who know their work processes, right? Not just the way to use the software. And I think that's the first step in kind of the ongoing support problem, right? Getting your people well trained, right? Not just on general software use for whatever system you have, but on the internal processes and best industry practices, right? That you've developed and that everybody needs to work with on a daily basis, right? Finding training that does that cost effectively and conveniently makes a world of difference, right? And for a lot of folks, that is actually their first step engagement with us, here at Zentek as their consultants, so to speak. And I think it gives them a chance to test us, right? To see the results of working with us and get an idea of who we are and what do our, instructors and technical staff really know. And I think that makes it a lot easier for our clients to move on to more of a true traditional consulting, work for standards and workflow development type of contract. And I think that type of work, right, those bigger engagements really need a solid level of trust on both sides, right? And I think that having that training portion, already done together, we've already worked together on that, makes things a lot easier. Rocco, in terms of, what percentage of our training engagements, lead to other projects with their clients? I mean, do you agree that having trained with Zentek makes it easier for them to get into larger jobs with us?
Oh yeah, well, they get to see the level of experience that we have, and obviously it's they're more comfortable with us. I mean, let's face it, the truth is we do work across the country, and so people find us, initially by searching for us, or searching for training, or by getting our emails. And so they start out with one class. Well, never heard of these guys, but it looks like it's an affordable class. Let me try it. And so once they get into our classes and see the level of experience that our team have, um, and that they're able to start to apply what they are what they're taught, um, easily, then it's like, well, these guys know what they're doing, so why don't we reach out to them and see if they can help us with other consulting work, like building tool chests for Bluebeam, or development of standards or templates in CAD, for example.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And look, to be fair, folks, right, we're not trying to, we try not to use the podcast as a sales format. We're not saying you guys should just reach out to Zentech because we're the best, even though we are. Uh, but yeah, this is true of any consultant. I'm trying to point out to folks that, the things you want to look for when you're dealing with a consultant for these ongoing support items. And I guess the other big topic that I kind of wanted to cover here is the concept of true ongoing, right? Or perpetual support for your design build technologies. What do you do after the training, right? After the setup. And this has been an area that all of us have struggled with kind of since the advent of the PC. Look, I remember the days where there was no support at all. You bought the software, you were done, right? And then they, further down, I remember, it got to the point where you could buy annual support contracts for like $100,000 a year, you know? And then they tried the pay as you go hourly models from like the big software companies. I actually remember this. I was working for a company, and I remember we had HP for our computer support back in the early 1990s. And they were charging $200+ an hour just for basic phone support. And that was 30 years ago, man. I would kill to get that kind of a billable rate today. I'd love to get that. So, the problem has been around forever, right? Things in the software and the systems and work processes change. Updates have to happen. Workflows need to be adjusted. New types of projects are going to need new software, or changes to existing procedures, and so on. There's a million things that are just going to forever alter. There's nothing static about training and support and setup and configuration. So the question is, right, how does a company stay on top of so many things, right? And how do you afford to constantly engage with a consulting firm on this? You can't be doing 15 or 20 consulting contracts every single year, spending the time writing them up and reviewing them, and the months back and forth. And it's a problem that, Rocco and I have struggled with, honestly, for decades, right? First, back when we were both, working in the Autodesk reseller channel. And it became especially a big issue for us when we started Zentech. We've both seen those old support models fail miserably. The endless consulting contracts and meetings, it took so much time, it was not an effective answer. We worked at it for a really long time. And we finally came up with a solution that's really been kind of going nuts for us just over the last 2 years since we kind of introduced it. And we call it our tech blocks, right? Which I'm sure I've mentioned a time or three on the show before. And the idea is simple, right? But it is a particularly effective process, I think, in our industry, right? And instead of putting together those endless contracts and consulting engagements, our clients purchase these prepaid tech blocks, right? Or prepaid support hours that can be used by anybody on their staff to get help on whatever problems they have exactly at the moment they're having the problem. Right? In other words, clients can help us, and we can do a desktop share and a screen share, and we can help them with just about anything, right? We can help them adjust CAD standards, right? Or if they need help setting up dashboards in Procore, right? Or, maybe they're having a problem with a complex corridor design in Civil 3D. We can jump on and work them through that. Or if they're trying to build a Revit family, right? Our Revit guys will jump on and work them through that. Pretty much anything you want. And the beauty here, I think, is that support has already been paid for in advance, right? So that, your staff can't overrun it, and your budget's safe. You're not going to get an unexpected bill from Zentech for, 45 support hours. You've already paid for it, right? So, if you buy, like, we'll say a 20-hour tech block, right? And my guys spend, 12 hours developing a new set of standards for one of your offices, right? Now you have 8 hours left, right? And we're going to give you a written summary of everything we did each time we engaged with you, right? How long it took, what we did, right? How many hours you have left, right? And on the tech side, my clients, the guys that I work with every day, they absolutely love the tech blocks. It's really becoming something that is probably the bulk of our work at this point, because they can see very easily exactly what value we have provided immediately the day of, right? And as their hours run out, they just buy another tech block so that their staff is never left to kind of fend for themselves on anything, right? They always have a trusted partner that they can reach out no matter what kind of craziness they run into on their next job. So Rocco, in terms of the tech blocks, right? How many clients just keep renewing those blocks indefinitely, and what has the management feedback been on having that steady support? Oh, and of course, from the sales point, you can tell people how to find out about our tech blocks if they want to know more.
Yeah, I mean, our clients like it. It's it's a way for them to easily work with us. It's prepaid, so that every time they need us, they're not having to get approval or purchase orders and so on. It's just an easy way for them to work with us, and they're easily able to get a hold of us and accomplish what they need. You could learn about it at right on our website at zentechconsultants.net.
There you go. Simple. All right. So look, folks, I'll kind of sum up today's conversation like this, right? Most of us can't afford to have a tech expert who has decades of design build experience in our office to just sit around all day and solve everybody else's problems for them, right? If you're lucky enough to have somebody with those skill sets, those are the people that you want to be billable, right? You want them working on your jobs to get the best results in the shortest amount of time. So that means you got to find another way to provide the support, right? That ongoing support that the rest of your employees need to help them through the day. And whether it's Zentech or another quality consultant, right? Just having somebody on standby with that type of expertise, right? So that you're not trying to, or required to pay, right, a massive salary and insurances and time off to some those rare people who have both, 15 years of experience with the software and 20 years of experience in the industry, right? To find someone who can do that for you, it's priceless, right? And I think that everybody listening, you're going to sleep better at night knowing that whatever problem comes up tomorrow, you already have someone to turn to who's going to be able to help you fix that problem, and you can do it without it being some unexpected blow to your budget. Okay, so there's where we'll leave it for today. So with that, I think we'll get out of here and let you all get back to working hard and earning those almighty dollars, folks. We'll catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast.
All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.